This is the C34 and we're going to look at the final drive chain tension on this machine. First thing we need to do is to remove the guard. The final drive is made up of 2 chains and 3 sprockets. The drive comes from effectively from the engine crankshaft through a belt system to this intermediate pulley, which does a large speed reduction so we can change engine speed rotations to rear roller rotations. And it's important that we check the tension on these 2 chains. There is the lower chain and the upper chain. The lower chain is thicker and more substantial than the top chain because the top chain is turning more quickly, therefore there is less torque. After the speed reduction, the chain is now going much more slowly and therefore the torques are higher. We're going to look at the tensions of these. It's important they're tensioned correctly so that they don't come off or damage, and also keeps the noise levels reduced as much as possible. When looking at the chain tensions, we check the lower tension first, make the adjustment of the position of this sprocket, and then once we're happy with the tension of the lower chain, then we can adjust the tension of the upper chain. So we can see that these chains are too loose and I'm going to increase the tension on them. So if we look at the tensioning of the lower chain first, we need to do this one first and the top chain second. So the lower chain is going to be tensioned by moving this intermediate sprocket. The intermediate sprocket is retained within the chassis within a slot. So by using a 17mm spanner at the bolt behind the spindle of the sprocket and also this 13mm spanner on the front, I'm able to release the spindle from the chassis. And I just need to release that enough so that then I can move this sprocket away, increase the distance, and therefore increase the tension on the drive. Once I know the location where I want to go, then I can then tighten this back up. Once I'm happy with that location, I'm going to tighten that up, and I'm just going to do a check on this by using a straight edge, a rule, and just looking at the amount of tension. And I expect to see deflection here of about 3mm to know that I'm at the right tension. Once the intermediate sprocket has been moved in order to increase the distance and tighten this chain, then of course it will slacken even more. Even if this top chain was at the right tension before, this will now become loose because we've decreased the distance between these 2 centres. This chain simply tensions by using this small idler. To change the tension in this chain, I'm just going to move that idler. 2 17mm combination spanners, inside, outside. I just need to do that enough so that I've got the movement here, and then I can pull this into a location where my tension is actually where I need it to be. So I use the inside spanner to push the bolt head through, and then I just need to tighten this up. By using a straight edge again, just here, then I can check that I've got the tension that I require here. And again, I'm going to go for roughly about 6 millimeters movement. So now that we're happy with the tensions of the chain, we will also look at whether these need lubricating. So either use some chain oil or some grease on these chains before we then put the side guard back on.